In today's brief video, I want to take some time and dissect common fears that people face when they're quitting smoking weed or quitting any addiction that they're struggling with. Because it's often fear that's holding us back from quitting. And we want to air that out in today's video. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset recovery coaching programs, which are dedicated to helping people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. I remember back to when I thought about quitting smoking weed. And I had many fears. What's my life going to be like without weed? Am I going to be able to quit? Are the withdrawals going to be really, really bad? What if I relapse? And I had all these different thoughts going on in my head. And when we work with clients, this is a very common problem that they're facing. A lot of this problem, I think, has to do with videos and all the information out there that we have access to these days. So let me paint a picture of that. When I was thinking about quitting smoking weed, I was buried in Reddit forums and I was buried in YouTube videos just like this one, hearing about different people's experiences when they quit smoking weed or their interpretation of other people's experiences who had quit smoking weed. What I would tend to gravitate towards was videos that would confirm my fears that I had about quitting. And this almost became justification for me to continue smoking weed, to continue using nicotine, to continue watching adult media content. I don't want to face the insomnia. I don't want to deal with the withdrawals. I can't do this. What if my life isn't any different? What it turned out to be is that fear is nothing more than false expectations appearing real. They're thoughts that go through our head. In the case of addiction, these thoughts are what can keep us addicted. This is the goal of the substance. This is the goal of addiction once it's internalized within us. The goal is to keep us hooked. The goal is to keep us coming back for more. And a really easy way of doing that is by playing on a person's fears. Right off the bat, if you're new to quitting smoking weed, I have a really simple piece of advice for you. Stop thinking about quitting. Stop researching videos on quitting. This is about to hurt my YouTube watch time hours right here. And just start taking action. Because what I think you're going to find is that many of the fears that you had were simply false expectations created by accounts of other people who had, gone through an experience with quitting smoking weed. Just because one person had bad withdrawals doesn't mean you're going to. Just because one person had a hard time after they quit doesn't mean that you're going to. Addiction is such a unique experience to the individual that we can't possibly try and make our story match someone else's. There was another major problem that I ran into as well when it came to fear regarding quitting smoking weed. Many times after I had begun quitting, what I would do is I would read other people's accounts of their recovery process. And sometimes people were way ahead of me. 90 days, they're feeling so much better. After 2 weeks, they were feeling so much better. And for me, that wasn't necessarily the case. It took a little bit longer in my story, in my struggle. What would happen is I would watch these videos of people saying that, and then I'd be like, oh my God, I'm not doing any better. Oh my God, I'm not where I need to be in this journey. And that would oftentimes lead me to relapse. It was such an unfortunate thing that I was comparing my journey with addiction, my struggle with it, to other people's. Because again, my struggle with addiction is very, very different from your struggle with addiction. And guess what? You might not even struggle with withdrawal symptoms. You might not even struggle with your recovery process. You might hit the ground running. You might not. The only way to find out is by taking action and actually starting to quit. And I think what you're going to find is the more actions that you take towards quitting, the more many of these fears are kind of going to fall to the wayside, because you're probably going to realize that you're able to disprove or dispel a lot of these preconceived thoughts that you had going into the quitting process. Remember, It's fear that keeps us addicted. There's a fear of what will my life be without this substance? And there's a fear of what will my life be if I continue using this substance? Both thoughts create a lot of fear in a person. When we're scared or when we're anxious or when we're depressed, chances are our default is to reach for that substance, nicotine, weed, pornography, whatever it may be. The only way to get through that fear is to start the quitting process and see what happens. And it's a beautiful thing because you can take it one day at a time. If something comes up, you can easily get help for that something. You can develop and get the tools you need to get through it. If you're thinking about quitting smoking weed, take today at the end of this video as an opportunity to make today day one. Or if you've relapsed, take today to make today the day that you get back on the horse and try again. That's what this channel is all about. That's what this addiction mindset community is all about. And I'm so happy to have you as a member of it. Follow me into the next video where I talk more about the two primary types of fear that we face when we're quitting an addiction. I'll see you guys there.